It's Backstage Pass with Steve Ryan. And here's your host, Steve Ryan.
Here we go.
Hey,
Ian,
we
how are
meet
you, my
at
friend?
last. My
Oh,
apologies for my lack of diary organisation. I'm sorry about that, Steve.
no, my friend, we have been. I'm so happy you're here. We've been talking about doing this for months. I think
I
maybe
know.
about 6 months.
Yeah,
So it
I'm
started
older
with
now, you know.
well, you and me both, brother. We're not
Yeah,
getting any
right.
younger. I had a conversation a while back with Trevor Steele
Mm,
from the Escape Club, and your
yeah,
name
yeah.
came up during that conversation, and I thought I've got to reach out and see if Ian would come in and have a conversation with me, and we've been working on it ever since, and here
Yeah, I
you
know.
are.
Yeah, I'd love to, mate. It's just life is never it always gets in the way of life, doesn't it? You know.
Well, that says something. You're still working, you're still busy and living life, and not waiting for somebody like me saying, "Hey, do you want to have a conversation?"
I can't not do it. It's I don't know what else I'd do really. I'm bloody
Yeah,
useless at everything else.
yeah. Well, let's talk. Are you still doing stuff with Escape Club? I know they're out on the road a little bit. What do you
Yeah,
tell me
we
what you're doing right now?
the situation with the Escape Club, I mean, I don't know if Trevor said, but I mean, I was in a band with him years ago when we were both teenagers.
Right,
Um, and it was like I suppose the starting gun for Escape Club.
right. That's what he said.
Um, yeah, he's actually put some rather embarrassing pictures up on the website of what I was like, and yeah, we just kind of, it dissipated. We went all and both went on did different things, and then there's a group of us because of that area we used to live in. There's a group of people that um, all of us used to gather at this theatre bar called the Queen's Theatre in Hornchurch. We're all that musicians or road crew or tour managers, at that level anyway. And we just all kind of got together. And so from that group, there's a bunch of half dozen, 8, 10 of us that get together and have a coffee every couple of days. All the oldies get together and put the world right, which is actually
Yeah,
quite therapeutic. It's really good. And so through doing that, I re-met Trev because he's part of that group.
yeah.
And I also re-met Paul, who was the guy I was in a duo with when I was 16. And yeah, one of my first ever um, musical endeavors, we got signed to Anchor Records for a couple of years, managed to sort of throw that out the window after a while. So, so going back to this the coffee mornings that we have, it was just delightful because you're meeting people again that you haven't seen for 40 years, maybe,
Yeah,
or something. But they're
yeah.
the same people. You haven't got to get to know everybody. It's like we're all kids again. It's very weird. But so
Well,
anyway,
I
through that, Trev said, "Oh look, but I've got got to do some of the gigs. Do you fancy helping out?" Yeah, sure. We always clicked musically and personally. We were good mates. So I've kind of sort of drifted back into it, and now we're aiming to do this be a live album from a gig we did in Hartford, which we're putting together now. There's going to be hopefully a new album,
wow.
uh, and probably coming to this. I mean, Trev's going to the States, I think next end of next week, a week after,
Yeah,
doing the stages and stuff like that.
right. Yeah.
Um, but that was already planned. Um, he's using some session guys for that, which is great. But the future things, as I understand it, I've joined a band at 68. How rock and
Wow.
roll is that?
Oh, I love that.
I know,
I'm
it's
gonna
great, isn't it?
I'm gonna have to have Trevor back on. I really give him a lot of credit. Trevor was the very first interview I did when I started this podcast, and now
Oh wow,
we've grown. It's been
yeah.
incredible. But had he not been the first to say, "Yeah, I'll come and have a conversation. Let's see what happens,"
Mm.
I've got to have him back on and do a follow up and thank him. But his name comes up all the time with people that I talk to.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah.
I mean, I know just having done some gigs out there and seen things that his or the Escape Club perception out there is completely different to what it is. I mean, there's nothing over here at all, which is actually quite nice.
Isn't that funny? I mean, that's how the hits went too.
Yeah.
I mean, Wild Wild
Yeah.
West was a #1 song here in the States, and it didn't
It's
do
massive,
much over there. Yeah.
not much
Wow.
at all. I mean, I think Trev's reason is that the label didn't work
Right.
it, I think, which makes sense. And I think at the same time, it probably resonated with the American ear
Yeah.
probably better than than the UK, oh, we're all punk rockers
Right.
ear. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah.
I
You
don't
know,
know. It just clicked, obviously. And
I'm
I'm
so
sure he's very happy
excited.
about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm so excited you guys are going to get together and put out some new music. I was thinking what I would give to be sitting in a back corner at a table, eavesdropping on the conversation of all you guys sitting around reminiscing and talking about
Oh,
the
yeah.
stuff that
It's nothing amazing. It's just a bunch of old geezers getting together and putting the world right, and with a specific angle on music
right.
and artistic contributions and things.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Yeah.
that's our area. We
Yeah.
also uh, the idea is to try and tour the States again next year once we've got some new material, not to promote the new material particularly, but then we've got a story, we've got something new to play, and so hopefully do a little tour in the States next year.
Let me ask you this. Tell me if this is correct. I had read
Um,
about you, in that you
okay.
have been involved in some way, whether it's being a producer or a writer or a performer, on over 60 million records sold.
Yeah, so I believe. Yeah, that's right.
Wow.
Yeah, I know that. I know where that comes from. I was sponsored by Steinberg years ago.
Yeah.
I say not sponsored. What's the word? Endorsed.
Yeah.
I use their software. That's what I'm using
Uh-huh.
now.
Yeah.
I think they're a great company and everything else. And they asked me to do a poster with me smiling somewhere
Yeah.
in a studio and a load of blurb. And then they wrote this blurb that said something like, it's been contributed to 65 million record sales. And
Yeah.
I didn't know if they obviously researched these German guys, so they obviously were quite thorough. They
Yeah.
researched it, and I thought, oh, really? Have I? You've got to be kidding me! But
Really? It didn't
yeah,
occur to
apparently.
you that it didn't occur to
Well,
you that
no,
you were
no, it doesn't.
wow.
It's not. How can I explain it? You don't think of it like that. Especially then, you think of it about what the next day's session is and what you can do and what you're gonna.
Yeah.
It's the doing that we do it for.
So
65
you
million record sales is amazing, but it's a bit kind of surreal. It's out there, yeah, fantastic, but I haven't seen any of them.
so you don't go to the coffee, you don't go to the coffees and say, hey, you guys, you did this, but I'm a part of 65
No,
million
no,
records
no, no, no,
sold.
no. The other guys did some notable things too. I mean, Trev included.
That's great. Let's talk just a little bit about Talk Talk, because I do want to talk about
Go on,
Talk
yeah,
Talk.
yeah, yeah, sure.
I mean, you were with the band, I think, through their most successful period. And
I think so. Yeah, I like to think so.
yeah, you
Yeah, I
didn't play on
believe
the
so.
first, you didn't play on the first album though.
No, nothing.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
learned the songs for live, but I didn't play on them.
Right.
Simon Brenner.
Yeah. It's a favorite album of mine. I thought it was very
Mm.
clever to have a song with this title of the same as the name of the band. So that was
Yeah,
clever.
yeah.
But in '84, you were a part of It's My Life.
Yeah, yeah.
Tell me about that record.
I I was at the time I was managed by a guy called Colin Thurston, sadly departed now. He produced what was it? Not the first Police album. I think it's Duran. Duran. He produced early Duran stuff and edited, and a big producer, and I forget. I was doing some sessions for him, and he started managing me, and through I think through someone at EMI and an A&R man called Dave Ambrose, I was doing sessions for various bands, on EMI, and they, and Talk Talk were looking for a keyboard player because Simon had left to do a solo project. This is for the second album. And as the story goes, as I heard it, they had this Monday morning meeting, A&R meeting, and in this meeting, a guy that I was doing sessions for called Hugh Stanley Clark was the A&R man. He was the A&Ring some bands that I'd done sessions for, and Dave Ambrose apparently said, "Look, I'm looking for this keyboard player because I need a keyboard player for Talk Talk. I've heard this guy called Jan Kronak, like some European country,
Yeah.
And apparently Hugh Stanley Clark said, "Oh, do you mean Ian Curnow?" And apparently he said, "Oh, yeah, that's the fella."
Yeah.
And apparently that was me. So one day I'm going to use that pseudonym. I think it's a great name. But anyway, so they wheeled me in to do some sessions on It's My Life album, and I was just bowled over because it at the time it was Ultravox,
Yeah.
U2, Tears for Fears, all these really amazing records, and I thought I'd found my Tears for Fears Ultravox, home here because it was just amazing. I did like 3 days, I think, initially. And then they asked me back, and I was there for sort of 3 months, 3 or 4 months doing the record with them. And from there, they said, "Look, would you come and sort of, I don't know what the term would be, or MD the live band and play keyboards for us for the forthcoming tours."
Like a music director of the show?
Yeah, not the show. Yeah, the band would just sort of put the arrangements together.
Yeah.
I mean, that was very much under Mark's control, but he needed to have someone there on the ground, sort of doing the doing for him.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did. Looking back on it, it was a blooming mountain to climb, really.
Yeah.
Just because I've seen videos of my keyboards, and I've got keyboard splits every sort of 7 notes of different sounds in different pitches.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know how I did that. It was weird, but it seemed to work.
Well, that was the thing about that era. There weren't really any rules. Everybody was just kind of figuring it out.
Yeah, that was dead exciting. That really was dead exciting. And I think that's why the whole era was so strong, because we were all kind of like, "Hey, I've just got this new box and it can do this. But if I put it that way around, it does that."
Yeah.
No one's done it before.
Yeah, I was talking to Kevin Godley a while back, and he was talking about this same time period and how he was saying the same thing. We didn't really know what we were doing. A new piece of equipment would come out, and it was like, man, what can we do with this?
Yes, yeah. It's like putting us all in a room with new toys all the time.
Yeah.
It totally was brilliant.
Yeah. Did the album, but It's My Life in particular, because it was such a huge hit. Did it feel special to you?
It's my life. Don't you forget. It's my life. It never
Did you know?
Yeah, I think I did. That's why I said I thought I'd found my Ultravox, my Tears for Fears. U2. It was, I like this. This is a bit good.
Yeah.
I've landed somewhere that this was special. So yes, I did know it was special. Whether but I remember it didn't strike me the success or otherwise of it. It just struck me that it was a really amazing musical home for I mean, if I can land here, how brilliant's this,
Yeah.
One of my big Peter Gabriel fan, big Peter Gabriel fan at the time as well. And he was, I mean, slightly on a tangent to that, but he was also, he was an inspiration to try and push the boundaries, album without a symbol anywhere and things like that. And using
for sure. Yeah. I see that now. Another song on that album that I love is Renee. That is such a great tune. And I mean,
Mm.
the whole album is sequenced really well, and it flows really well. But
Yeah, good point. We don't get that now, do we?
no, you
It's all
don't.
tracks.
Yeah,
Yeah, sadly.
yeah, it's a shame. I mean, that
Yeah.
used to be an art. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And even down to the amount of time you leave between tracks,
Yeah,
so that the ear is ready for the next feeling.
right. Or do they just bleed into each other, seamless?
Yeah.
I mean, it's so
Crossfade.
much fun. Yeah. Um, in '86,
Yeah.
The Color of Spring, and you're a
Yeah.
part of that. That was a big record. Um, Got It Up is a great song. And it charted over here, but it wasn't quite as big as the previous album. Was there
Well, it's
something
not as
going?
accessible, really, is it?
Yeah, yeah.
It's not well, not as commercial sounding, I suppose. It was a bit more experimental, or very much more experimental, and harder to make. I would add.
Is
Um,
that because you say that because you had to follow up It's My Life, or was there other things going
no,
on?
I think because Mark was determined not to follow up It's My Life.
Really?
Mm.
Okay. That
If that makes sense.
it does.
Artistic obtuseness being quite deliberate,
Right.
not not unworthy, but that I know he felt very strongly that about selling out and doing those things.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, it was almost like I think I read an interview. No, no, not Colour of Spring, the one after that. By then I was at Stock Aitken Waterman, and I read an interview with him in one of the lads mags or music, fashion, not fashion, style mags at the time,
Yeah.
Loaded or something, and the headline from that was "Market that, you bastards,"
Yeah.
which was
Yeah.
kind of summed up where he was uncomfortable with that sort of limelight, I think, to be honest.
Wow. Yeah,
Mm.
I talked to a lot of people, and especially artists who had such big success so early in their career, and then where do we go from here? And I guess you
Mm.
either embrace that and try to do what the label wants and continue to roll out those hits, and
Mm.
some sound alike hits,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
you do what happened there, which is just the opposite. No, I'm going to give them something outside the box, and
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
wow, yeah,
I mean, he's perfectly entitled to. I
of
must
course.
confess, I did have conversations with him to try and dissuade him, because
Mm.
I could see that what he'd got there was something special. So don't spoil it, mate. It's amazing. So
Yeah.
let's keep the audience with us. Give it a
Right.
couple of years.
Yeah.
But
Ride the
but
wave
no,
for a
I mean,
little bit.
sorry.
Ride the wave a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, enjoy it.
Yeah.
I didn't quite understand, but it's not.
Yeah.
I was on the
Yeah.
side to be able to say my
Yeah.
opinion,
Yeah.
but not in any controlling aspect.
Yeah. He didn't enjoy the commercial success, is what I'm
I don't
hearing.
think so. No,
Yeah.
I mean it gave him a quite a very nice life out of it, I'm sure, but that's not why he was doing it. I don't think
Hmm.
he was driven differently, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Totally makes sense.
Mm.
And then you went to Stock Aitken and Waterman, and
Yeah, you
boy,
couldn't
what a
get more
ride.
different, could you?
No, and what a ride though,
Oh wow, yeah.
because I was looking, well, tell me a little bit about how that came about, and when you went over there, what were you hired to do? What was the plan? Because I see you were
Okay.
kind of into everything.
Uh, yeah, the keyboard player, I think, really. Okay, so I work with Phil Harding over there, who's
Mhm.
a notable in his own right. I knew Phil, well, way back. He was instrumental in me, actually, in me getting a record deal with my partner, who I was discussing earlier when I was early, because he produced our first demo that got us the record deal. And we were just really, really good buddies, back at sort of 16, 17 years old. And musically in some kind of harmony, we could see eye to eye. Anyway, our paths went different ways. And just, I can remember, just as I was rehearsing at a place called Nomis, for Talk Talk, for doing the album, and I'd committed to saying, well, okay, when you go live, I'll come out with you, and I would be the MD, and in other words, I'm your man, I won't do anything else because I'm available for you, and literally the week I had done that, Phil phoned me up from PW with Stock Aitken Waterman Studio and said, "Oh look, we've lost our keyboard player. We've got a Fairlight in, and no, it wasn't a Fairlight in. Anyway, lost our keyboard player. We want someone to come along and just join in to be a good egg, and contribute ideas and whatnot." And I said, "Oh, I'd love to, mate, but I've just committed myself to Talk, and I can't really." It's really, I hate decisions it's a sliding doors moment, isn't it? I hate decisions like that. Both of them could have been brilliant. Who knows what would have happened the other way around? But anyway, he offered that, and I said, "I'm sorry, no." So I did 3-4 years with Talk, and in the meantime, Stock Aitken Waterman went off, and they had Dead or Alive and all the early stuff, Prince Astley, stuff like that. And then when Talk came to an end, I was still in touch with Phil. We're still buddies. He said, "Oh, you know what? Pete's just got a new Fairlight. Do you want to come down and drive it?" And I thought I was going for an audition or, an interview.
Yeah.
So come down and meet Pete. So I went into his throne room where his high seat, and you sit down like that, looking up at Pete, right? And he was on the desk.
Yeah.
It's great, but it's fine. It's just funny. And so I was doing that. He said, "Okay, lad, well, there's the Fairlight. It's the only black one in the country. There's the manual. Right, see you Monday." Oh, okay, Pete. That was it. That was the conversation.
Wow.
So I literally took this big, a sort of, what do you call it, folder thing, this big.
Mhm.
I took it home, read it cover to cover, drove myself mental with it because it was, I hadn't got it in front of me. I can't relate to anything. Oh, okay, I'll just try and glean what
Yeah.
I can. And then
Yeah.
on the Monday, literally on the Monday, I went in and got set up, and I think it can't be actually on the Monday, but I know literally it was physically I was getting everyone to set it up somewhere with a keyboard so I could play it and do things. But the first thing I did on it in anger, if you like, was the first Rick Astley single, "Never Gonna Give You Up."
I just wanna tell you how I'm feeling. Gotta make you understand. Never gonna give you up. Never gonna let you down. Never gonna run around and desert you.
Which was literally Pete coming in saying, "Look, there's what was it? I think it was Michael Fortunato. No, there's a Sybil record, and there's an Alexander O'Neill record. I want that groove and them chords by 2 o'clock." And
Wow.
I said, yeah, rabbit in the headlights moment, right?
No pressure.
Oh yeah, exactly. Oh, okay, Pete, sure. It wasn't by 2 o'clock; it was by the end of the day. And I had this thing that I could not allow. The muso in me wouldn't allow me to copy.
Right.
I know, they say good artists plagiarize and great artists copy, is it, or something like that? But anyway, I wanted to make it my own in order to give them something that I've done rather than just literally, do a pencil carbon copy. So I can remember going through the chord structures and the feels and stuff like that. And I kind of made these chords up that sounded a bit Alexander. I don't know if they are, but it's actually third finger left hand, the Shirelles, or when you look at it.
Yeah.
But so I kind of made these chords up and made this pattern shape and stuff, this and the other, and put the Sybil groove underneath it, and off it went. And through various gestations of them replaying it with the Colonel Abrams bass line, etc., and four on the floor kick drum as they were known for, and there's Never Gonna Give You Up, which
Yeah.
was Rick's biggest ever record.
Yeah. Huge record. When that came out,
Massive, yeah.
yeah, I was a disc jockey on the radio when that came out, and we
Oh
played
yeah,
that like every 4 hours. It's like, oh man, if I have to play this
yeah,
song one more time. But
yeah, yeah.
the request line was just going crazy. And then the same for Together Forever.
It's never changing. Can't you hear me? I'm saying I want you for the rest of my life. Together forever and never to part. Together forever we two.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a really good example of what you were just saying. Let's make another one.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's not the same, but it is very, very close. But that's a
You-
real art doing that.
Yeah, it's Rick Astley. I mean, if it's the first time
Oh, yeah,
you
exactly.
heard that track, oh, that's the
Yeah.
guy who sings, Never Gonna Give You Up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
And why wouldn't you want to do that? Because you've suddenly got all this audience that like a certain sound, and if they like that, there's a good chance they'll like that. You
Yeah.
don't suddenly go in. Well, you don't want to suddenly go in with a prog rock concept piece that's 7 minutes.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
It just they go
What-
what?
Well, and you know who else was good at that and did that, and maybe it's because of you working with them and where you guys were at the time. But Bananarama.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
Oh,
a
yeah.
Bananarama song when you hear it,
oh yeah, yeah.
and you worked on
same
those.
chords same chords in the chorus, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is that
actually,
is
yeah.
is that because Ian's there?
Could be. Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah.
I'm not saying anything.
I love Bananarama. I love.
Oh yeah, brilliant.
I heard a rumor and Venus.
It's
and-
like how many ways can you reinvent the same wheel? It's
Yeah.
but that was the task, and why not?
Those songs could have been Rick Astley songs, couldn't they have?
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah. I think
Just-
in actual fact, some of them were kind of transferable in the gestation, between an artist maybe saying, "Oh, I don't like that one," and
Yeah,
then
so let's send
okay,
it over to
well,
Rick.
well, Kylie can have it then, or
Yeah.
something,
Yeah.
that sort
Yeah.
of thing did go on. But it was a factory. It was a
It
hit
w-
factory.
for
It literally-
sure.
Yeah,
And you're right in the
that
middle
was
of it.
brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's an incredible time. And the weird thing is, I'm sure everyone says this, when you're in the middle of that, you don't think about it. You think that's normal.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not. But after a while, if we weren't in the top 10, this is in the UK, of course. If we weren't in the top 10, everyone would have long faces.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but it's got in at number 12. Oh God. Well, it just
Right.
doesn't seem right. But and then when you think it will go forever, because you settle in it, and every day, oh, you do another one of this, we do that. It just feels like it's a constant, because
Yeah.
you're riding this wave, and
Yeah.
the whole thing gets its own energy. It's
Yeah.
monstrous.
Yeah,
I'm
I
sure you
hear
get the
that.
same thing in radio if you're doing disc jockeying. You get the same kind of energy as things roll on and move forward.
Yeah, yeah, and music changes, and people's taste
Yeah.
changes, and then all of a
Mm.
sudden you've got the grunge rock thing happening, and I mean it
Yeah.
it
And
kind of
it
goes into
becomes yesterday's
cycles.
newspaper, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Becomes chip wrapper.
yeah, yeah, but then they cycle back around, because right now I'm
Mhm.
feeling a big kind of resurgence of this late '80s, early '90s,
Yeah,
R&B thing.
Yeah, I can see that. I think as you were alluding to before, it was a bit of a magic era, partly because of the technology, and partly because of the sort of the social sort of mentality at the time. We were all just really out to party, really.
Yeah, yeah,
And it was celebration and all of that good feeling.
Yeah.
was paramount, and couple that with us all, suddenly getting toys that we couldn't believe could do what they can do
Yeah.
was just a real kind of driver, and that sort of made the whole era. But I can't see, I can't imagine a set of circumstances that would set up to make that whole sort of thing happen again. It
Yeah.
happened once,
Right.
really, you know, and then
Yeah.
it settled in the 90s when everyone was like, that was all very sort of technical and correct. Out of
Yeah.
time drums you know, were old news. And
Yeah.
now out of time drums interesting sometimes.
Yeah. You know, there's so many people that you were part of whatever project they're working on, and I don't want to put you on the spot, and you don't have to answer if you don't want to. But is there anybody
Sure.
or any project that really stands out for you? Like oh man, this is my baby. This is the one that I just reminisce about because it's so special to me. I mean, I know. I mean, 65 million
Um,
records. I realize that, but is there something that you come back to in your mind and think this one was so special to me?
I It's been a lot, really. I've been doing it a long time.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be one.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Well, certainly that first Talk Talk album was just a moment for me. It really was. I thought, well, this is it. This is my home now. Fantastic, I was so, I just felt so blessed and happy, lucky to have landed in that spot, really. Um, and then, likewise, the first thing being the PWL thing, completely different musically, but you just pull different strings in the head, put different hat on,
Yeah.
and to do the Rick Astley thing and get all of that and suddenly be kind of always having hit records. It's like, what? I've just had this great artistic experience. I'm now having a great success experience. Like, how bad's that? You
Yeah.
know, and
Yeah.
and I mean, I would say of the people, if that's any interest, I would say both Rick Astley is a delightful human being, as is Jason Donovan, as was Kylie, although it didn't have that as much to do with her. Very professional, really, really good. The actress in her work ethic. They're most delightful, really.
Yeah.
Which stands out though. He's a good lad, good
Did
chap.
I read you did some writing or something, some kind of project with Robin Gibb?
Yeah, yeah.
Tell me
Yeah,
about
that
that.
was.
I'm such a Bee Gees fan.
Oh wow. Okay, that was. Now, how did that come about? I was okay. For my sins, I was one of the producers making the tracks for Fame Academy,
Mhm.
which you don't know if you have it over there. It's
Mm-mm.
like it's a TV show. Um, you know, grab a girl, get her to sing, and see if you can make a star out of her. And there's a whole
Yeah.
bunch of them. They lived in the house together. It's somewhere between Big Brother and X Factor.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
right in the middle. Um, so I was engaged to do the music for a couple of those series actually. And in one of them, Robin Gibb was one of the mentors or whatever you'd call it.
Mhm.
Um, and we got on really well. It's lovely, lovely man. Oh no, we recorded an old Bee Gees song as a track for Girls Aloud, I think. And that, my memory is very hazy. But that
65
went,
million records. Come on.
yeah, it's just a lot to remember, mate. um, I think, yeah, so we recorded that. And through Duke being involved in that, obviously, I consult, he was involved in the helping of making a record. And then I made a record I think with him, of an old Bee Gees song as well, or maybe it's one of his new things. I can't remember. So I was involved in making a record, which I'm
Wait,
afraid I forget the title of. I'm sorry.
that's okay. When you to me, the Bee Gees to me we're
Oh,
so
awesome.
big. We're so
Oh,
big. And they were one of those people who, when we were talking about earlier, how, even before Saturday Night Fever, I mean, they had a lot of hits, but they
sure.
kind of embraced the sound that was working for them. And then when it, came into the 70s, they were able to pivot. And then you
Yeah,
knew, oh, this is a
incredible.
Bee Gees song. And they, well, let's
Yeah,
do another one of those. And they just
yeah.
went for it. And
That that's amazing to do that. It's so hard to do,
yeah, yeah,
creatively without, and they didn't just copy themselves. Things like Chain Reaction and all of those other ones they did with other artists
yeah,
were just astonishing pieces of work, really. Like we were all kind of like, we are not worthy when they were doing that,
yeah, yeah. I bet it was working with Robin Gibb had to be, like a bucket list check mark.
Oh yeah, 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 absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Wow.
It was funny. I think at some point he left a jumper in the studio, I think, or something. And I met up with him later to give it back. But it was just a V-neck jumper, but it was the
Mhm.
most beautifully cashmere. It was like a pressure. I mean, apparently it was Robin Gibbs, but it was like a precious. You don't buy that in Marks and Spencers. It was lovely. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, that is so great. I,
But the thing, sorry, I
Mhm.
can say the thing was, if you can imagine you've been, a Gibb brother and you've had all of that experience. I mean, I'm sure you've seen it. Artists with success, it's very hard to have a lot of success and remain kind of not a dick. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
You
For
know,
sure.
and he wouldn't, he wasn't, he was absolutely lovely. He's clearly, on his own planet, if you like, but
Yeah,
he's had a stratospheric existence that, if you met Michael Jackson, you couldn't expect him to be like a normal person down the pub.
for sure.
He,
Yeah.
and he shouldn't. He is, So Robin, I would say, was one of the nicest and least affected, least damaged. There you are,
Right.
by the system.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
also, I think, part of the fame thing. If you
Mm.
want fame, like this is for me, what's different now. People who are famous are being famous, aren't they? Not
Yeah.
famous for doing anything.
Right.
It's famous because they're famous.
Yeah.
Um, Whereas fame on its own is pretty vacuous, really. It doesn't, there's no real value to it unless you
Right.
can monetize it with TikTok or whatever, but it's not real human value to it.
Yeah.
Whereas if back in the day and stuff, or back in that sounds terrible, but originally, you'd have to do something in
Earn
order
it.
to earn it,
Yeah.
and by doing that, you don't it prevents you, or can help prevent you from being a dick.
Yeah.
But when you're just
Yeah.
famous for famous sake, it's not the same. So it's the chasing of the fame.
Right.
It's like, the
Yeah.
more famous they are, the less you really want to meet them because they're
Yeah.
too into their own fame.
I quit reading biographies because, like, oh no, I like them less now.
Yeah,
You-
right. Yeah, yeah.
I was talking to Martha Davis from the Motels a few
Oh, yeah,
weeks ago,
yeah.
and she actually put a caution out there. She said, for all of you that are watching this and your dream is to be famous, be careful what you dream for,
She's so
because it's
right.
not that great.
It really ain't that great. No.
Yeah.
When I was in this this duo when I was a teenager with this guy Paul, I just wanted to be famous and I loved music. And then as soon as I got a sniff of fame, I was on a couple of TV shows, absolutely petrified.
Yeah.
And I suddenly realized, hang on a minute, no, this is not, I want to be in the studio. That's what I like doing.
Yeah.
So I just felt, chased that really. And the whole fame thing, scared the life out of me because it wasn't, I don't think I did it very well. And B, it it didn't feed me in any kind of good way. I could see me becoming a dick really quick.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to be that guy, you know what I
Good for
mean?
you. Yeah. Good for you.
It was horrid.
Wow.
No, scary place to be.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
much happier in the studio doing the real thing, and that's
yeah.
why I'm still doing it.
Yeah.
It's what you cut me down the middle. It would say music.
Yeah. Wow, Ian, I love this conversation. I feel like we're just getting started, but I've already kept you way past what I
Oh
promised.
God, sorry. Oh, well, I told you I could talk for England. Sorry.
No, not at all. I feel like I'm keeping you.
No,
Um,
mate, it's all right.
I would love to get together and do this again. I'm hoping
Sure.
that maybe when you and Trevor get that project done, maybe we can have you guys back on and talk about the
Maybe
new
we
stuff.
do a dual one,
Yeah, that would be
do
great.
together. You know, it'd
And
be
then I'll
good.
come crash your show somewhere.
Oh, that'd be brilliant. That'd be excellent. Yes,
Yeah,
that'd be marvelous. Well,
Ian,
thank you very much. It's been really great. I don't sort of do this stuff really. I don't chase the fame or whatever. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm mildly. It's weird. I'm mildly embarrassed. I
Well,
don't know why.
I'll
It's-
be
I-
honest with you. I felt like I had to convince you to come in.
Yeah, there you are.
A little
Yeah,
bit,
it's not my
a little
thing,
bit.
right? But I don't mind it, and you've been really welcoming. It's been nice. But so as a result, I really do these things.
Yeah.
You know, but having said that, it's been an absolute joy. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm just a fan. I enjoy. Well, I'm a music lover first of all, and
Of
I
course,
enjoy the music you've been a part of. And so this was
man,
very
that's
easy for
nice.
me.
That's so nice of you to say. That's really great. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Ian. Let's do this again
Okay.
soon.
Absolutely. And I hope to see you again soon. Cheers.
All right, brother. Talk to you.
Okay, bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
For questions or comments, email Steve at steveryan.songoftheday@gmail.com.